Russian President Vladimir Putin said Russia has no intention of fighting Europe, but warned it is ready for war if Europe starts it.
We are not going to war with Europe. I have already said this 100 times. But if Europe suddenly wants to fight us and starts, we are ready right now. There can be no doubt about that. The only question is what? If Europe suddenly starts a war itself, it seems to me that it will happen very quickly. This is not Ukraine. We're acting surgically with Ukraine, carefully, so that, well, it's clear, right? This isn't war in the direct, modern sense of the word. If Europe suddenly wants to start a war with us and does, a situation could very quickly arise in which we won't have anyone to negotiate with.
In addition, Putin also accused European leaders of lacking peaceful efforts and blocking efforts to reach a peace deal on the war in Ukraine.
They themselves have rejected peace talks and are hindering President Trump. Third, they have no peace agenda. They're on the side of war. And even when they try to supposedly make some changes to Trump's proposal, we clearly see it. All these changes are aimed at one thing: blocking the entire peace process altogether, putting forward demands that are absolutely unacceptable to Russia. They know this, and thereby blaming Russia for it.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he believes Russian President Vladimir Putin wants to end the war with Ukraine as U.S. officials prepare for follow-up meeting with Ukraine's negotiator. Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner met with Putin in the Kremlin but reached no breakthrough in stopping the long-time conflict. Meanwhile, Trump stated that the U.S. negotiators had a reasonably good meeting with Putin.
I don't know what the Kremlin's doing. I can tell you that they had a reasonably good meeting with President Putin. We're going to find out. It's a war that should have never been started. It's a war, if I were president, we had a rigged election. If I were president, that war would have never happened. It's a terrible thing. But I thought they had a very good meeting yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. It's, when I was in this office and I talked about no cards, I said, you have no cards. That was the time to settle. I thought that would have been a much better time to settle. But they, in their wisdom, decided not to do that. They have a lot of things against them right now. But you have President Putin had a very good meeting yesterday with Jared Kushner and with Steve Witkoff. What comes out of that meeting, I can't tell you, because it does take two to tango. Ukraine, I think we have something pretty well worked out with them. They're very satisfied, considering. But the sad part is, if I were president, no war would have ever happened. They would have had 100% of their territory. Nothing would have happened. It's a very sad situation.
European Union plan to provide a €90 billion fund for Ukraine by using frozen Russian assets this Wednesday, covering 2/3 of Ukraine's financing needs for the next 2 years. According to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, the money would be generated through EU borrowing or by using Russian central bank assets to fund the reparations loan. However, Belgium, which holds the bulk of the Russian assets, has so far rejected the plan over fears that it could face severe legal and financial retribution from Russia.